time we're at the pump. And oh, how she drooled at the opportunity to vote to expand Obamacare, which will result in higher taxes and longer wait times in the emergency room. And now the Senate wants to pass a bill to prevent us from criticizing Senator Stiles' vote. Call Senator Stiles at 603-918-0553 and tell her that we're on to her wolf in sheep's clothing routine. Tell her to stop pretending to be a fiscal conservative and start voting like one. Paid for by Citizens for a Strong New Hampshire.
Skip was talking to me when I was putting my headset on. I didn't hear anything he said. Welcome back to GrokTALK. I'm Steve McDonald here with Skip Murphy, who is micless. And then we have a mic to replace the micless Skip Murphy at the end, and he has a mic. And, of course, we have Kevin here to join us and have some conversations, and Susan Olsen, who...
And Annie.
And Annie Cusser.
Oh, yeah,
the anti-chair.
Absent,
the anti-chair.
Absent Annie. I'm also going to have to start finding some old advertisements for Cadbury's Turkish Delight, because I am going to keep on about Maggie Turkish Delight Hassan.
There you go.
Hassan! And her overseas connections.
I was going to say, we had Susan on last week with a cell phone in a loud room, and we have to not do that anymore, by the way, just as a mental note when we call in. Try to find someplace quiet, because I couldn't hear you.
I was at the gun show.
I listened, and that's wonderful. A great place to be.
You need one of these.
I was listening to the show when I was doing the post-production, and I'm like...
What is that?
I was hoping I could hear you better on the recorded version, and I couldn't, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah. What you need is one of these. This is a trucker's headset, which I use for noisy environments and in my convertible with the lid down, and it works.
Had I had it, I would have used it.
Yeah.
He was in Scotland. He couldn't loan it to you.
No. Indeed.
We should have had you calling from Scotland. I don't know why we didn't do that.
I actually volunteered, and Skip said, no, stick with the family. And it was actually, the problem is that GrokTALK would have been early afternoon when I was, in fact, out with my dad getting some stuff and then going to see my mother in the hospital. So
just a second, Dad. I got to do an interview.
Yeah. So
sorry about that.
So
what?
The time shift wouldn't have worked. The other way, when I'm in California, I just get up early on a Saturday morning and call in and then go about my day. It occurs to me,
as somebody who doesn't sleep very much, really, I think 6 hours a night maybe. I would rather call in the afternoon from Scotland than get up at like 5 a.m. to call here from California. That's just me. Even though I'd probably already be up, I just whenever we have guests on from the West Coast, I always feel bad because, we're on at 9 and it's 6 there, which means they had to get up. Sometimes they've just got up, and they sound like they just got up.
The Californians, especially in high tech, have a split personality. There are those that do get up at 5 and 6 a.m. and start their day and then get to the office before the traffic. And there are those that get up later and don't get to the office until 10 o'clock because in between times the traffic is such hell that nobody wants to be on the road.
Sure.
Okay, so we could beat some more bushes. We have plenty of those. I don't mean, George W. or his dad.
George W. showed his class again this week. You can argue with the guy's policies, but as a human, he's a very classy guy. Two ways. He had his Wounded Warrior golf game this week, showing that he continues to care for the people that he and Barack sent to war. Which is far more than we say for the current occupant. And he showed his class another way when they asked him some questions about ISIS and what he predicted, and he answered them very carefully and did not dump on Obama like he could easily have done, like Obama does because he's free to do so and he's not an ex-president.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Romney does. Romney dumped on Obama very nicely a few times.
That does, by the way, concern me. The ex-President Obama, he's never going to shut up, ever.
No, well, we know what it looks like.
I think
you just need to paint Obama brown, not Obama. Paint Carter brown, and you got it.
I think he'll be in rehab. Actually, to be honest with you,
I think he's gonna go.
Once he's out,
if he doesn't get to be the head, he doesn't get to be the head of the United Nations. he might become so depressed that the world has rejected him. That
Well,
some
you know,
horrible
he's
thing could happen.
he's about 500 years before his time. His role is to be president of the Galactic Foundation.
Oh, he should be running the Federation. I
the
got it.
Federation,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, but there's no money in the Federation. What's he going to do?
That's right.
Yeah.
From whom does one
and that's
steal?
that's assumed that he ever relinquishes power because he's a Klingon, Captain.
That's, by the way, which demonstrates that it is a fantasy, because anybody who understands human nature knows that there is no society without remuneration that would function properly. Because the Pilgrims learned it when they came here.
Mr. Bradford kind of screwed it
Right,
up.
yep. So everybody knows it's just for entertainment. Unfortunately, the entertainment we're getting now requires them to take our stuff to give it to other people who will vote for them. And
now we're passing notes because I have Skip's headset.
from Lucian.com, Border Patrol on alert after 71 people from hard-hit Ebola countries illegally enter U.S. this year.
Ruh-roh.
So,
Wow, that just came out now.
Ebola.
Ebola.
Now, you know, it's we brought it up on Granite Rock. There were going to be people coming across the border. Of course, everybody did, because the kids. When we were talking about the refugee kids and how they were spreading them around the country.
Oh,
So-
the kids brought TB and
a clear
and
case of
EV68.
policy, but there could be kids with Ebola who came over who
Yes,
weren't
they
showing
could.
symptoms. They could do the exact same thing. It's the same policy that distributes the EV66.
Anchor Ebola.
Right,
Anchor Ebola.
right. And then now you've got a more dangerous virus. You know, I mean, we worried about hantavirus. We worried about tuberculosis. We worried about all those things that they have in these foreign countries that we don't have to deal with because we have good medicine here. Well, we're on our way downhill. But, and, you know.
And why don't we limit traffic to travel to
the big news the other big news this week was, if you saw, we posted it in 2005 or 6 or whatever, Obama was complaining about the Bush administration's policies with regard to preparedness for epidemics, and then of course somebody else came out and reported that in 2010, 2011, the very thing that senator was asking about, who's now president, said, no, screw all those regulations about, you know, filtering all these disease-infested people out before we let them in. Just let them in. And now here they are, and we have this. And, you know, even the media is beginning to get tired of Obama. And now he's just pissed off the entire CIA and the intelligence community. This is not a very bright man, okay? Because somebody pointed out yesterday, and I forget who it was, I was reading it online, that those people, you don't screw with those people, okay?
Typically, no.
They will now, between now and when he's gone, they will leak news every freaking week until he is done. Because, I mean, they can. That's what they do. Their entire intelligence is their life.
Do not these guys know how to stage a coup? Can't we possibly pray for that?
They do, but I wouldn't want a coup. I mean, as much as I dislike the guy, I wouldn't want. First of all, I value human life, even life like that. And secondly, because, you know, we have an ordered form of government that's very successful. I was, 1800. You may not love Jefferson, whether you love him or not, but that was the first vote where there was a dramatic change of power. Jefferson was very different from those who preceded him, and it was a peaceful change of power. So we have to have a peaceful change of power, because if we don't, then we're giving in to the Marxists and the anarchists and the leftists and the progressives.
No, you're absolutely right. It just depends if he does something to provoke it. And
but I feel the same thing you're saying. I feel, what is it going to take to get this guy out?
Somebody could very easily.
He should have been impeached after about 2 years.
Well, first you got to get rid of
balls.
Valerie Jarrett. Somebody's got to make her go somewhere. Like maybe she goes on a vacation in the Himalayas to look at the glaciers that are melting or something, and then she discovers that she really wants to be a Sherpa or something and stays there. Okay, don't harm her. Just convince her that she needs to be someplace else.
They do need to be unionized.
Mrs. Obama needs to go on a fact-finding tour someplace.
A fact
finding?
Fact-finding tour.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
We both heard the same
Finding
thing.
tour. Actually, a fat-finding tour would work because of her lunch program where she's trying to reduce fat. She could go do that. I'm not talking about her. I'm talking
Actually,
about
a
her policies.
fact-finding program would be the Mirror.
Joan
that
Rivers
would be-
said she's a tranny. Joan Rivers said she's a tranny, a transsexual.
Yeah, well, I've heard that too. Umo, Abed, whatever. There's lots of stories. But who cares? She's a Marxist. I don't care what she does with her free time. Stop taking my money. And then once Obama's alone for a couple days, the intelligence community can start giving him briefings whether he wants them or not. And, straighten his bacon out.
Yeah.
Now, quite frankly, my give a damn is broken. I'm worried about New Hampshire. I don't care about Washington.
You don't think there's any hope?
I've been worried about New Hampshire for a long time.
I don't think there's any hope. And
I go back and forth.
There's a dime's bit of difference between any of them.
I think this post came from the little bit of hope I have left. Like, maybe we can really try to do something.
But we can do something in New Hampshire. Just forget about these people. And I keep saying over and over again that the biggest problem New Hampshire has is that damn first in the nation primary status. Because Papa Sununu, Papa Smurf, sucks all of the money and all of the air out of state and local elections. That think about the per capita expenditure that these national candidates have to make to come up here and get in the spotlight and here with the people
and they don't go after voter fraud for the same reason, right?
Well, no, they
don't want to draw negative attention to the state.
So all of this, and I was told at a meeting
we're going to screw that up next week. So
last month that the National Party was putting $40,000 to $45,000 a week into the state. So all of these Republican
something has to
candidates,
pay Jennifer's pool bills. Oh, sorry.
So none of the state candidates are getting money. At least the ones for whom I might.
You say she's pooling her funds?
She could be pooling her funds, indeed.
Now you're all wet.
You're all wet. That's right. Maybe she took a dive.
Trying to keep her head above water.
Possibly. But the point
and
is,
by the way, we call all of these surrogates, including Jennifer. In your rant, I think it was Skip called them all surrogates, including Jennifer, which I thought was a nice slip of the tongue because she's a surrogate for the Papa Gnome anyway.
Well, of course she is. So people here in New Hampshire think that we're really smart and we're very politically savvy, and these guys come around and shake our hand and eat at our diner and stuff like that, and that we never get anybody elected, but we get old man Sununu's people elected on the state and the national level, and that's got to stop. Look at this guy. He was thrown out of 40. What number?
41s.
41s. He was thrown out of 41's administration, for God's sake.
Notice that Reagan didn't let him near the levers of power, and of course we have the blood feud between Sununu and Gingrich over who was trying to corrupt the budget in the H.W. Bush administration.
I think what we've learned here is that New Hampshire is actually just an aquarium where rich people come and tap on the glass.
We're a petri dish.
We'll be right back in segment 4. If the pool guy shows up, if he doesn't, we'll talk about this stuff, because that's what we're here for. We'll be right back.
We're activated.
New Hampshire is famous for scenic drives, but they're tough to enjoy when you're on your way to the doctor. Because Obamacare limits your choices, some will have to drive more than an hour to see a doctor. What's health insurance worth if care isn't there when you need it? Jean Shaheen voted for Obamacare, putting your doctors and hospitals further out of reach. Tell Senator Shaheen, Obamacare is not working for New Hampshire.
She tried to make us believe she was a fiscal conservative, but State Senator Nancy Stiles has been deceiving New Hampshire taxpayers. Like a wolf in sheep's clothing, she claimed to be one of us, pretending to blend in, but all along voting like a liberal Democrat. She voted to raise your gas tax by another 23%, taking a bigger bite out of our wallets every time we're at the pump. And oh, how she drooled at the opportunity to vote to expand Obamacare, which will result in higher taxes and longer wait times in the emergency room. And now the Senate wants to pass a bill to prevent us from criticizing Senator Stiles' vote. Call Senator Stiles at 603-918-0553 and tell her that we're on to her wolf in sheep's clothing routine. Tell her to stop pretending to be a fiscal conservative and start voting like one. Paid for by Citizens for a Strong New Hampshire.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is the repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.